Oh my god, guys. Tuesday Treadmill Talks 83. Let's talk about some things here coming up. Because there's actually a lot of things we need to talk about on here. The first, you're starting to notice a little rapidity going on with... We've primarily are just talking Star Wars YA stuff, Indiana Jones comics, and Predator comics. And that's because we're still going through February reviews. Sorry, but when you do as much schooling and as much work as I do, you have very little time to film. There will be some more filming that has to be done this week. Unfortunately, it's going to be on this phone, and you might be wondering, what is he talking about? Well, I was supposed to get a new phone yesterday. I was going to upgrade, because I've been due for an upgrade for over 2 years. Yeah, and I was going to upgrade to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Why, you may ask, when I'm not the biggest Apple fan? It seems to be the only platform that will really work with the way I record things and make my life a little easier. So, we're going to do that. Next. So that didn't happen on account of I'm still part of a family plan. Like, I pay my portion of the bill. I send money every month for it. But in order to save money, we all, just in my family, we send the account holder money. Well, the account holder, I'm not going to say which one of my family members it is, but you can tell the age because they mailed a check late. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I go into Verizon, because yes, I unfortunately have Verizon. And I'm like, hey, I need a phone upgrade, because this phone, it tries real hard, but it is not doing so well anymore. It doesn't hold a charge very well. It's just drained all the time. No matter what I do, it just dies midday. I have to charge it multiple times a day. It doesn't hold up well. And I'm like, okay, we need to get a new phone. Well, the guy at Verizon's like, oh, you need to pay your bill. I said, the fuck are you talking about? I need to pay my bill. I paid my bill at this point 2 weeks prior. And they're like, oh no, your balance is due. And so I call my family. I'm like, well, who didn't pay the bill on time? And they're like, well, I mailed it out the day it was due. It's like, pay your shit online. Like, fucking hell. That's not a difficult thing to do. Come on. And so I couldn't do anything because I'm not going to double pay the bill. It's not like I have the money to do that. I didn't budget for that. Because I'm going to have to go on one of those terrible payment plans with this. But thankfully, this phone's still worth a little bit of money. So I'll get some trade-in value for it and get reimbursed. But we'll see. We shall fucking see if that actually happens. This is the problem. In all honesty, should I have my own account? Yeah, if it were feasible, I would have my own account. But it's just so expensive. And we have such an old-ass plan. Our plan's almost 20 years old. And so we get grandfathered in with some shit that saves us money. So I just stick with this. But there are consequences for being lazy like this, and this is one of them. The other being, oftentimes, I have to go back to where I used to live, which is almost a 2-hour drive, to deal with phone shit. When shit goes wrong with the plan, or shit goes wrong with the phone, and then it's got to be like a whole family trip. But anyway, I'm done ranting. It's just irritating. Especially when, you're the only tech savvy person on your plan, it's really irritating. So anyway, I have to shoot a bunch of shit on this phone, which I pulled all my videos off of it, so they wouldn't have to back up into the cloud, so I wouldn't have to pay more for iCloud, because I hate iCloud. Quite frankly, everyone should hate iCloud. It's a fucking ripoff. But then again, so is Apple. Cleo's looking at me like I'm a crazy man, which she's kind of right. I look like a crazy person right now on a stationary bike. Anyway, so what came out this week? Well, The Running Man came out for King of Our Nightmares, which we're running out of King of Our Nightmares episodes. I'm running out of podcasts to upload, because I haven't recorded any in a while. So I'm down to like 3 episodes, because House Atreides is taking forever to read, because it might be the most boring thing I've had to read in a while. And I don't like it. And it's about 300 pages too long. I don't even know how they're going to make a trilogy out of this fucking book. It's so drawn out. I don't know. I don't fucking know with that. The cool thing is, I've been doing paper movies reading, which I haven't done in so long. So, I finished The Terminator the other day, which we're going to actually do a paper movies episode on it. We're going to record it, I don't think this week, I think it's next week. We're going to record it, which is super fucking cool. But also, I couldn't resist. Saw that one of the authors who wrote the first novelization wrote the second one, and I started that, and I'm halfway through it, and I'm really loving that too. That one might only be a single cut, we'll see. We'll see what we do with that one. I highly recommend both. They're just super great, but check out our paper movies discussion. Matthew and I are going to talk about that first one. He's almost done with the first one, too, so that's fun. That's some fun shit right there. So, I got that going on. Then, Wednesday, we got Jedi Apprentice, The Call to Vengeance comes out. So, we're getting to the end of Jedi Apprentice, little by little. I say this every week. You know, just stick to it. Next Wednesday, you'll get a Clone Wars Adventure, so it'll spice things up a bit. But I'm so glad I'm getting done with these 2 series. They've just been hanging over my head for a long time. And it's nice to have these done. And moving on with my life, Star Wars review-wise. Friday, we're going to have another Further Adventures of Indiana Jones episode coming out, which will just be tackling the 3rd issue of that series, which is the standalone. Although it does give a teeny bit of conclusion to the first 2 issues, but you can just read the first 2 and be fine. It takes place immediately after the first 2 issues. Then Saturday, I believe we're tackling Predator Cold War, the next Mark Vierden story arc, which is the second part of the Schaefer trilogy. So we'll be tackling the comic book adaptation of that. We're getting close to a switchover point with Saturday reviews, where we're going to have a bunch of really small stories in both Aliens and Predator we're going to tackle in like clumped reviews. You might be asking yourself why. And I ask you, would you rather watch me review one single Dark Horse Presents story, not the whole issue of Dark Horse Presents, one single storyline in an issue of that, or would you rather I tackle like a bunch of them, give different ratings to each story, and go that way? Personally, I'm sticking with the latter. So I got an Aliens episode that I'm going to record that's a bunch of short stories, short comic book stories that I'm just going to combine. Honestly, you could get ahead of time. This won't come out for a couple weeks, but they're all bad, various degrees of bad. It's nice that Marvel included them in omnibuses, because honestly, I don't think some of these have ever been collected, period. One of them, I don't know why it was collected, because it's barely an alien story. I would argue it's not, but we'll discuss that later. Predator, there's going to be like 2 different Dark Horse. They're not Dark Horse Presents, they're just called Dark Horse Comics stories. I'm going to combine, because each of them are not worth talking about individually. But with Predator, I think I got a bunch of these, so I'm going to have to do a couple episodes of that. There'll be a Predator review next week, but after that, I think I'm just going to throw the Aliens one in, because it's already ready to go. And then we'll jump back into Predator, or we might not, because the next big alien story is right upon me, and that's Genocide, which is somewhat a sequel to Earth War. It deals with some of the aftermath of Earth War, which one of those short stories that I'm going to review in Aliens actually is like a bizarre epilogue to Earth War. Really bizarre. And the less I say about it, the better. Oh boy. The bees are back. So for you, those of you who don't know, where I live now, we get all sorts of bee infestations. Anything from meat bees to wasps to hornets to like yellow jackets. Yellow jackets are the most prolific of all of them, though. And to get my landlord to do anything about them, it's a fucking headache. That's why I like the winter so much, because they go dormant. But like they will do like the laziest weird shit. When we moved in, we had 2 wasp nests and 2 yellow jacket nests, some of which were burrowed into the outsides of the house. So when I go out the front door, or if Gabby or I went out there, we got swarmed by fucking bugs. It was bad. I got really badly stung and bitten last year, really badly. Like, had to take a shower to get all of them off of me. It was bad. They went down my shirt. They got in my beard. One went into my ear and stung me. That was a fucking thing that happened. It was horrific. So it gets so bad, and they typically like to. I put up all sorts of bee traps and shit. The bees in the trap, you know what I mean. I put up all sorts of traps and shit, but we won't be able to use our front door for a while until they fucking spray again. It'd be nice. We're not allowed to pay for like a bug spray thing. It's a weird thing in our lease. They don't want us poisoning anything. So they have to pay for it, and then they don't like to pay for it. It's a whole stupid bullshit thing. But I digress. So it's good to know the meat bees are fucking back. It's hotter than hell outside, so they've woken up. And I'm almost certain I know where their nest is, because one of the handymen cocked it over, so they probably just chewed their way back out of it. Like they've done before. I don't know. But anyway, so I have a couple more announcements to make in this really rambly Tuesday Treadmill Talks. The biggest one being, your boy's going to Legends Con. I've already told a couple people. I was going to make an announcement Sunday. Didn't happen. Got sick Sunday, so I'm okay now. So now I'm going to Legends Con. The other thing is I have supported a crowdfunding campaign done by Dynamite Comics. Yeah, Dynamite. If Marvel was the house of ideas, Dynamite's the house of variant covers. I don't have a lot of respect for Dynamite. I think that they care more about covers than actual comics, but it's nice when an IP I like isn't owned by fucking Marvel. Like, seriously, it's so fucking nice to not have an IP that's not done by Marvel, so I don't have to deal with the bullshit of them announcing an omnibus and then delaying it over and over and over again. Or just arbitrarily deciding that a certain character is too problematic and just stop making comics for said character. So Dynamite's doing a crowdfunding campaign for the 40th anniversary of The Terminator. Hence why I jumped on this Terminator kick and reading novelizations, because I want to promote this. So I'm going to link down below to backing this crowdfunding campaign, because quite honestly, it's the majority of the Terminator comics from POW Comics, which owned the IP first. A few Dynamite ones, because yes, Dynamite actively owns the IP, I guess. It's just weird. And Dark Horse. And I love me some old Dark Horse comics. The POW stuff's pretty damn good, too. So they're doing 3 volumes of this comic, at least so far. But they've hit their stretch goal. They hit one of their stretch goals. They're about to hit their second. And I want us all to just pitch in for this, because every time they seem to reach a stretch goal, they add another comic book story. Like, they added Enemy of My Enemy. Do you guys remember me reviewing that back in the day? It came out in 2014. It came out 10 years ago. And they're tackling that. It's so nice to see. So we're getting a wide variety of Terminator comics. It's not everything, but it's most of the stories, and they're going to be collected in chronological order, which has never been done before. Back in the day, Dark Horse did 2 paperback omnibuses, and they were in publication order. And then they took Tempest, and they made that into one of those 20th anniversary or 30th anniversary hardcovers. You guys remember what they did with Aliens, Predator, AVP. They did one for Terminator, which actually I was going to review soon, but I will hold off and wait for these ones to come in. And yes, I went primo, for those of you who've clicked on the link, and I ordered the metal covered ones. Yes, you can pay to get these comics with metal covers. I don't quite understand what that fucking means, but I did it. So, it has a lot of stuff. You can check it out. I'm a little disappointed that we're not getting, like, some of the Salvation stuff. That would be nice. Or, like, some of the movie comics, because they did prequel movie comics for Salvation and Rise of the Machines. Of course, Marvel did a movie adaptation of T2, which I would have liked to get, but that's fairly easy to get still. And of course, I'm always hoping Aliens versus Predator versus Terminator gets reprinted, because that piece of shit, I don't want to pay those primo prices for it. Also known as one of the worst, it's considered one of the, if not the worst comic book crossover of all time, because it's so fucking nonsense. And I used to own it, because I owned everything Terminator at one point. At least comic-wise, I owned everything Terminator. I didn't own every novel. In fact, most of the novels that I now know exist, I didn't know they existed till about a year or so ago, when I kept finding them really cheap. So, anyway, I'm just about done on here. I'm going to link down below to that GoFund. It's not a GoFundMe. It's, I can't remember what the site's called, but it's been all over my Instagram and stuff. This is like right up my alley of shit to collect. And I'll link down below. It ends in like a week or so. So if you want to get anything from like the paperbacks to, I think you can just get digitals. Go right ahead and check it out. Be linked down below. Anyway, have a good one.